Good evening, dear friends. Namaste and Jai Guru. Let us begin today's class with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, Beloved God, Bhagwan Krishna, Jesus Christ, Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar Ji, Beloved Gurudev Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, Friend and Guide Swami Kriyananda Ji, Saints and sages of all religions, great sages Ved Vyas, Maharshi Patanjali, Adi Shankaracharya, humbly we bow at thy feet. Dear Divine Mother, smile in my heart and light up my soul. Let every cell and atom of my body shine with thy light of divine joy and peace. Bless me that I may channelize your love, joy, and peace to all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Know that God listens to us all the time. He is present within us and around us, ever present. He is always aware of the feelings of our heart and the thoughts in our mind. Let us hear a few thoughts by Swami Kriyananda on discrimination. As science judges the relative speed of any object by one constant, the speed of light, so the devotee judges the relative merit of any idea by the one constant, God. Discrimination is clear only when it relates everything to the eternal absolute. Thus, while the intelligence may toy with ideas endlessly, discrimination asks, is this wisdom? Is it of God? True discrimination is not even the product of reasoning. It is soul intuition. Reasoning, even from the highest point of reference, is uncertain compared to the inspirations of superconsciousness. To discriminate clearly, meditate first. Ask God to guide your understanding. Let us do the following affirmation. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Mentally follow this prayer. Guide me, Lord, that in all things I know thy will, for I know that only by thy will are all things led to perfection. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Coming to today's story, we have a very interesting story from the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the interesting thing about this story is that Master is telling this story, and he is telling as if he was or he is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So very interesting intonations this has. And just as a background, let's talk about Sri Chaitanya. So Sri Chaitanya's fame as a bhakta spread throughout India in the 16th century. When in Gaya in 1508, he had a spiritual awakening and became inflamed with love for God, whom he worshipped as the avatar Lord Krishna. Liberated saints, being one in Kutastha Chaitanya, can commune together and work through one another, even though one may be on earth and another on the astral plane. Sometimes the great ones in subtler realms of existence choose to give a message to the world by using the physical vehicle of a brother saint who has incarnated on earth to help souls. Thus, Sri Chaitanya once spoke through Paramahansa Yogananda ji in the following words. Long ago I means Chaitanya here, lived in India. I preached no sermons. I did not talk of wisdom. I did not speak of anything but the love of God. Wherever I went, I expressed the burning love of God. I spoke only when I felt moved to do so, and often I said only 2 or 3 words. But thousands followed me just to hear me sing Radha, Radha, Radha Govind Jai. That is spirit and nature dancing together. Victory to spirit, victory to nature. In this chant, Govinda is one of the names of Sri Krishna, an embodiment of spirit, and Radha, the disciple of Krishna, symbolizes nature. Nature is the consort of my beloved Father, and my Father is spirit. Those two aspects of my Lord, spirit and nature, I beheld everywhere, and I wanted to speak of their love manifesting in all. In the love of mother and child, in the love of father and mother, in the love of man and woman, and in the unconditional love of true friends. Once, as I was walking through a village singing, Victory to spirit, victory to nature, men and women left their work and followed me out of the village. But gradually they dropped behind, and finally I lost sight of them. I had come into a vast field where I saw a man washing some clothes. Washerman, I hailed him. Don't talk to me, he replied. I'm too busy. Go away, you madman. But I urged, you don't have to talk with me. All I ask you to do is to sing. Give me the happiness of singing with me my beloved's name. Then I will go. The washerman began to sing with me, victory to spirit, victory to nature. And as we sang, the clothes he was washing fell from his hands. I moved on and he followed me, singing, and even the birds sang with us of their love of nature and God. As we went along singing, the washerman's wife came up and, brandishing a broomstick, said to her husband, "What is the matter with you that you follow this crazy man?" But the washerman replied, "Revile me if you will, but just once sing with me." She began to sing, and we all sang. And as we did, the broomstick dropped from the woman's hands. While we were engrossed in divine joy, singing to spirit and nature, 4 village gossips came along. Spying their friend, the washerman's wife, they cried, "Hey, what is the matter? Why do you go about singing with that crazy man and your husband?" But the woman replied, "It is all right, just sing once with us." Then we all sang, Radha Radha Govind Jai. 100, 200, 300, 500 came to drive us away as we went back through the village singing. But they too became intoxicated with divine joy, and I walked off with all of them. Dear ones, do not take the name of God in vain, but sing, live, and drink the name of my beloved until you get all drunk with his name. Let us all sing, as I sang long ago, of the love of God, with hearts aflame and souls afire. Krishna, Radha, sing on, spirit and nature, Radha Govind Jai. Be intoxicated with the Lord's name. Master then says, may the bliss of Sri Chaitanya be with you. Sing the Lord's name with all your heart. No more call the beloved with dry voice and absent-minded prayer. Drink his name with all the fervor of your soul and be intoxicated with his name. When you drink God, endless thrills of intoxication overwhelm your heart and mind. A silent burning devotion illumines your whole being. Be that kind of yogi devotee who prays silently until God answers. Pray when others are asleep. Father, answer my heart-burning prayers. I am no longer satisfied with playthings, Father. I want thee. I will wake all creation with my cries. Come, I want thee. I want playthings no more. Devotion is the love we express to God. Devotion should have no taint of fear. It is in our highest interest that we show devotion to God silently from the heart, a burning devotion in which we surrender ourselves to Him and pray until He answers us. No one can destroy the charm of divine love. Let its bliss overflow your heart and uplift everyone with whom you come in contact. Om, peace. Amen. This is such a wonderful story. And I've read the account of life of Sri Chaitanya. It's very amazing to read about his life. He just said that he was a math scholar and he was a teacher, and he was a very good teacher, very intellectual person. But once he went to Gaya, and I think it was the Vishnupad temple in Gaya, which is supposed to be very ancient and sacred. He was crossing that temple, that he had a vision of Lord Vishnu in that temple. And of course, he was overwhelmed by it. So when he came back to his hometown, he thought that, okay, let me go back to my duty. So he went to teach his mathematics and so on in school, or in I think it was high school that he used to teach. But he was unable to speak. He was unable to teach the children. He was all the time, he was getting intoxicated with God's presence in himself. And it was he who gave the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And he would sing so much, he would just get kind of dissolved in his own devotion, that he would not know time, he would not know place, he would go into a trance, and certain people would have the combined darshan of Radha and Krishna in him, and others would have the Chaturbhuj Roop of Vishnu darshan in him. And like Jesus Christ, wherever he went, he healed people. He would hug lepers, he would hug the sick people, and they would instantly get healed. Wherever he went in through the forest, even the birds started to sing with him, all the animals bowed to him. They said even the plants kind of, changed. So this was, his love for God became so great that he could think of nothing else, he could do nothing else. Although he was married, yes, but eventually after many years, he just left to live in Jagannath Puri. And it is said that his samadhi is there, and he left his body. It, like many others, and it is said that his body disappeared there. But this same essence was actually revived by the ISKCON movement, who also follows the Maha Mantra, and they have published many books on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But very, very interesting. It is said that once he was so intoxicated in Krishna's love that he was in Jagannath Puri, he was by the sea. But then he was having the vision of river Yamuna as if he was in Vrindavan. And he rushed into the Yamuna. In his own being, he rushed into the Yamuna. So he actually ran into the ocean. He was intoxicated and he was just floating on the ocean. And it was after many hours that a fisherman found him, and he kind of put him on the boat and brought him back. And he would literally lose consciousness of this world and be just so much in ecstatic joy by singing that the name of the Lord. And it is said that the name of the Lord is the Lord himself. If we can actually sing that name with all our heart and all our soul, then the Lord listens to us. So sometimes people do ask that, I do not have that much devotion that can call upon the Lord. Then should I just mechanically take the name of the Lord? What should I do? So to start with, It's okay to just take the name even when you don't feel like it. If you have taken the name 100 times, then probably even once when you chanted one of those names, you probably touched actually the hem of God's Father, so of God. So it's okay to start mechanically, but eventually it has to be imbued with all your heart's feelings. It has to be only a single pointed concentration on that name and the bhav. So suppose you are taking Lord Krishna's name, then you can visualize him in your spiritual high. You can think of his leelas, and you can think of the charming Krishna and the smiling Krishna and the yogi Krishna and the Krishna who gave no the sermon before the war of Kurukshetra, the Bhagavad Gita. So in whatever ways you can, you start embracing him, and taking the name of God, doing japa is very useful when you're not able to properly sit and meditate and do your Kriya Yoga. Suppose you're doing other works in which you are not meditating as such, but your full attention is not there at the work. So that is the time to fill in that, using that extra energy and that extra mind space. So you can say a mental bandwidth which you can actually use to call upon God. And that is very useful. So a very interesting thought on mental bandwidth is that our mind has a particular capacity, and beyond which it cannot process any data. So for example, there's this story of how a hunter, was actually sharpening his arrows, and this is next to the forest, just on the outskirts of the forest. He was sharpening his arrows because he needed to use those arrows later on. So he was so engrossed in doing that job that a whole procession of people dancing and singing and playing the drum and playing many instruments, it passed him by for a long time, and he did not know about it. So he was very much physically present there. And then somebody asked, "Did you not notice?" He said, "No, I did not notice." So how is it possible that he was in the awake state, and yet he did not see or hear such loud music and so many people passing? So it is because his mind was so concentrated that all the mental bandwidth was being used to do that one job. So even though his sense organs are there, but he has not registered anything. His mind, eventually we should know that all the senses bring in data to the mind. So if my mind is already so concentrated on one thing, then even though the vibrations are knocking on the eardrums, but the eardrums are not actually conveying that data to the mind, because mind is already so focused. So there is a certain bandwidth that our mind has, and I've heard it somewhere, I don't know how correct that is. It's about 120 bits per second according to today's computer technology. So usually whatever work we do, sometimes we are using 30-40 bits, and the rest is just going waste. Ideally, when we meditate, we should be using that entire thing. The entire mental bandwidth should be on God, or should be on the technique that we are doing. But usually we are using it only partially. And therefore, that is the time where we can use the other data, remaining space, the cloud space in our mind, to actually fill in with God. And of course, there should be times in our day when the entire mental bandwidth is focused only upon God. The times that we meditate, the time of stillness after meditation, that then we should just give our heart and soul to the Lord. And this doesn't come overnight. It needs a lot of training. It needs a lot of coercing ourselves. But the good thing is that as soon as we start meditating, in just a few weeks, we start to feel that joy and peace in us. And it is that joy and peace that brings us back, that coaxes us back into our meditation. And this joy and peace keeps increasing as we meditate deeper and longer. And this is the sign that we are progressing. If we can feel, Master said, if you can feel the joy in meditation, then, and it is ever increasing and it is ever new, that means you are progressing on your meditation and spiritual journey. Okay, so with that thought, An important thing to keep in mind is your mental bandwidth. So we now use our mental bandwidth to come to Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And we last time talked about certain sutras. Now, before last to last class, we talked about many powers that can be achieved by a single pointed concentration and meditation. And then the sutra last time, number 34, Patanjali said that all these can come even without samyam, means even without a specific type of concentration. These can come to one who has purity of heart. Then he said that samyam on the heart brings an understanding of one's vrittis or inner tendencies. In Sutra 36, he said that the differentiation between Purusha, the self, the Atman, and the sattvic qualities of the intellect. It is important that one makes that distinction. And once you can concentrate on this distinction, then you will have soul understanding. So you will know what the Atman is once you know the difference between the self and the non-self. Even the clearest of non-self means non-Atman, means sattvic guna is the highest guna. So even beyond that is the soul. Sutra number 37, he said, from that arises, so once you can know the distinction between the sattvic intellect and Purusha, you will also have, kind of superlatives in your hearing, in your vision, in all your senses. All the sensual abilities will multiply manyfold, and you will have all those experiences. Then Patanjali very nicely, he warns that for the worldly state, these are considered as powers, but for the yogi, all these powers are an obstacle to the attainment of samadhi. And the last one that we did last time was that when the cause of bondage has become loosened, the yogi, by his knowledge of manifestation through the organs, enters another's body. And we heard about the story how an old man just shed his own body and entered the body of a young man who was on the pyre and just ran off with that body into the forest. So all these things are possible. And we also said that these are master's word, that you are not able to enter another body just because you have not practiced how to do so. So if we can practice, that means to be able to get into another body, you have to first practice being detached from your own body, knowing that the body is not the Atman, it is not who you truly are. It is only a kind of an outgrowth to the soul being, to the abstract infinite self. So only once by meditation you can withdraw from your senses, once you have that experience even of sabhikalpa samadhi, that you are not the body. After that, then comes the phase when you can actually enter another body and know what's going on there. Like Master entered the bodies of all the disciples and he would know what's happening. Okay, even Swamiji once said, he said that he also said that he could enter other people's bodies. He mentioned it very subtly. So he said that once I entered a female body, and since the female body has a lot of emotions and a lot of hormones, so he said that I found a lot of restlessness there. So it was very difficult for me. So he withdrew. So all the saints have that capacity, and this is not a very out of this universe thing. These things appear to be miracles, but as Patanjali has stated, these are not miracles, these are science. It's just that we have not explored and tried that science upon us, and therefore we think them as miracles, but all these things are possible. Now, Sutra number 40, Patanjali says, Udan Jayat Jal Pank Kant Kadish Asang Uttarankit Cha, meaning, by conquering the current called Udan, the yogi does not sink in water or in swamps, and he can walk on thorns, and the body can levitate. So very interesting again. So abhi जो है हमारा जो शरीर में है वो जो प्राण है, एक तो सारे प्राण को कॉमनली प्राणा कहते हैं या प्राण कहते हैं। ये जो प्राण है शरीर में जाके 5 सब प्राणास में डिवाइड हो जाता है, इसको बोलते हैं प्राण, अपान, समान, व्यान और उडान। सो जो प्राण जिसको कहते हैं, जो सब कैटेगरी में आता है, उसको दैट इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर इनहेलेशन, इंजेशन एंड वट एवर वी आर टेकिंग इन। अपान is for elimination. Saman is the prana that controls the fire of digestion. Vyan is the pranic activity that controls the entire circulation as well as including the lymphatic system. And Udan is basically the upward movement of prana, which can be used to eventually exit the body. So it is said that yogis can exit the body through Udana because it is that movement which takes you upwards. And also it is supposed that it is said the seat of Udana is somewhere in the throat. So it is very useful in communication and so on. So basically many books have been written on these 5 currents and how you can harmonize these currents, but that is not the topic today. So we'll just touch it as a reference. Okay. At the time of death, Udan is the energy that draws individual consciousness up and out of the body. So Swami Kriyananda ji says, by mastery over Udan, the current within the deep spine which raises the kundalini through the sushumna to the brain, one gains the power of levitation and of leaving his body at will. So many Christian saints have been observed in a state of levitation. Joseph of Cupertino was uniquely disqualified from working in the monastery kitchen by his tendency to rise up off the ground and even to soar high above the monastery. So imagine a monk, is working in the kitchen and he's rising up and he's kind of floating in the air and he's actually even rising above the monastery. So the churches were not very accepting to this. So I have watched a movie of Joseph of Cupertino. It's I think in Italian or some other language, black and white movie with English subtitles. So if you can find it on YouTube, please do watch. So in that, he's a very simple fellow. He's not meant to be a monk. It's just that his mother wants him to become a monk, and he's a very, very simple guy. And he's because his mother knows somebody in church, so he asks that person that you take my child in and make him a monk. So he starts to live in the monastery. He is very simple at heart. When he prays, he literally just prays. He just pours his heart out and so on. And he tends to levitate all the time. And people are think that Satan has gotten into him. This has been a problem with the church since, because they have no idea about the yogic faculties and the possibilities that these exist. So most of the people in the monastery, in fact, mostly the bishops, and bishop is also called the archbishop and so on, everybody thinks that Satan has gotten into him, and that's why he levitates. So they actually tie him in thick chains and put him in a cave, and it is being guarded very well. And the next morning, and this is usually what happens, is that he has a vision of Mother Mary, and when he looks at that vision, there's a light coming from that vision, and he just levitates into it, and the chains break. So there are chains which are very heavy and no human can break them. And then actually the people who can see there's a light coming out from the cave. So when that happens, then they realize that he's actually a saint, and they don't torture him anymore, and starts to live in the monastery. And he keeps levitating. People from far and wide come to bow to him. So that's a very interesting story. So we also have, of course, the story of Bhaduri Mahashaya, the levitating saint from the autobiography of a yogi. So it is possible by using yogic techniques. And now we know that Bhaduri Mahashaya used the power of the current Udan to actually levitate. There's another story from the English saints, and this is Saint Teresa of Avila. This place is in Spain, and she's supposed to be the patron saint of that area, and she belonged also to the 15th, 16th century. So she herself, would be embarrassed because Everybody would be praying in church and they bend down on their knees, on the pews, and she would start to levitate, and she would hold on to the bench so that she may not levitate, but she could not help it. She would levitate. Her body would become so light and would be uplifted by that, the currents, that she would just levitate. Okay, so interesting. So how does levitation happen? When the Udan current in the deep spine rises forcibly to the brain, it exerts sufficient outward force to lift the body as well. The force of gravity cannot force it to remain rooted to the ground. So that means उड़ान की पावर या जो भी राइजिंग करंट है उसकी पावर इतनी ज्यादा हो जाती है कि वो ग्रेविटेशन की फोर्स को नल एंड वॉइड कर देता है और उसके बियॉन्ड वो राइज करता है. So if we think in terms of physics, it has to be at least equal to the power of gravity. We must remember that matter itself has no reality. Everything is a vibration of consciousness. When one's awareness passes beyond the material realm, the realities of this sphere of existence cease to hold sway. Okay, so I think Anjali dear has posted on the chat box the YouTube link for the movie Joseph of Cupertino. Then you can maybe check it out. Is that right, Anjali? That's the link you've posted?
Yes, Radhika.
All right. Thank you, dear. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, Sutra number 41. Saman Jaya Ujvalanam. By the conquest of the current Samana, he is surrounded by blaze. Whenever he likes, light flashes from his body. Swami Kriyananda says, okay, just a moment. Okay. Swami Kriyananda says, mastery over the Saman, just balancing energy in the body, gives off a bright radiance. A disciple of Swami Muktananda, a well-known yogi of India, told me that he had left his guru one evening and was walking down a dark road. His guru sent a blazing light from his body that made the way clear for him as long as he needed it. So just imagine, you are the light. It is well known that saints have a bright aura of light around them. They can also create and control this emanation. Yogananda ji met a wandering sadhu at the Kumbh Mela in 1936. His name was Karapatri. Years later, he told us, I hid from him so that Karapatri might speak freely. So what Yogananda ji said, that he kind of controlled his aura in the presence of Karapatri so that the other person can, speak without getting conscious of whatever he wants. Because if a person feels that, another great saint is in the presence and he may get conscious. So Master said, I just hid myself, meaning hid my aura in front of him. And therefore he allowed him to speak freely. Another very interesting observation is that some people are endowed naturally to be able to see the aura of other people. And it is said that I think it was Edgar Casey from the US who was able to see that aura in other people. And there was an accident in a building in which a lift crashed down. And later it is said that Edgar Casey was standing in front of the lift. He had pressed the button. When the lift doors opened, the lift was full. But there was an interesting thing that he had observed, that none of those people had any auras. And just an instant after that, that lift crashed to the ground. So it is said that the light was being withdrawn from them. So, on the one hand, there are yogis who can consciously control the light being emanated from them. And on the other hand, there are certain people who can see auras of other people. And in fact, once Swamiji was in New Zealand and at a bookshop, I think, and that the lady, she came to him and she said that I can see a purple aura around you. I have not seen anybody's aura so beautiful, she said. So very, very interesting these things are, but these are realities. Let's not just say that because they are not in our experience that these cannot be true, but they are definitely true. In fact, I don't know why I'm having this thought, but it's in Dhyanaji's life. We were once told long when she was in US, so let's say about 15-20 years ago. So there was this person who had this supernormal vision sometimes, and he when since Dhyanaji was sitting in front of him and he saw her aura, and he said later to her that I don't know why, but I see you in a place in dressed up in blue color and surrounded by many people, and you are in a place which is a bit dusty. So basically he could actually see the future of Dhyanaji. Dhyanaji then came to the US. Now it's going to be about 14-15 years. She came to India and she now wears blue. At the time they came to India, they used to be wearing white, and now they wear blue, and we know India is a dusty place overall as compared to the US. So that person could easily see that in her aura, and he had told this to her. So again, everything is just a vibration of consciousness. Some people can actually tune into different frequencies, frequencies of parallel worlds, frequencies of past, present, and future, and can actually gain and access information from those zones. So not very shocking, just a fact, acknowledge it. Sometimes you may also have visions in meditations. You may also suddenly see an aura around some person. So don't be surprised. Just accept, just thank God for the experience and move on. Don't get stuck with it. Sutra number 42. Shrota akashayo samhandha samyamat divyam srotam. Meaning, by making samyam on the relation between the ear and akasha, akasha means ether, comes divine hearing. So there are two things here. One is the ether or akasha, and the other is the instrument of hearing, the ear. So when you do concentration between the relationship of the ear, the power of hearing, and the ether, then you can hear everything, even if it is remote, even if it is from another world, you can hear it. Anything spoken or sounded miles away, he can hear. This is called clairaudience. Swami Kriyananda says, Samyam on the ear's ability to hear and the Akasha gives one the ability to hear supernormally. So in meditation, you will find, of course, we have been taught the technique, Om technique, which helps us to hear the sounds of the chakras. And sometimes you may hear what you call the Gandharvas, means just like Apsaras are celestial dancers, in the astral plane, Gandharvas are supposed to be celestial musicians. So you may hear sounds which like church sounds, like the choir in the church and the church bells going, the angels singing. All of this people have experienced. So again, just don't keep them on the shelf, but do not seek them. They come by the grace of God. So in meditation, different people have different experiences. Some have visions, some have hearing, some have supernormal taste, supernormal smells, their own visions of the past, present, or future, and so on. So all of this is possible. Okay, so I can see Suruchi's hand up, but we will answer this question later. Please keep your question for the end of the class. Okay. Sutra number 43. Kaya kashayo sambandha sanyam tula samapate cha akash gamanam. So tula means cotton. By making samyam on the relation between the akash and the body, the yogi becomes light as cotton wool and goes through the skies. So again, if you feel the lightness of cotton, then you too can fly like cotton. So जो पवन पुत्र हनुमान है, उनके पास तो सभी सिद्धियां हैं, और उस तरह में से एक सिद्धि ऐसे प्राप्त होती है कि that you It's one of the ways. Of course, Hanuman is blessed by Ma Sita and he is the greatest devotee, so he has all the siddhis. But this is another way that is being mentioned. It says, if the yogi performs samyam on the akasha material of the body, means the etheric base of the body, then he can go anywhere through the air. Swami Kriyananda ji says, samyam on the relationship between the physical body and the ether gives the body the lightness of cotton fibers and makes it possible to travel astrally. So not only teleporting, but also astrally also it will travel. It is well for every devotee, regardless of whatever powers he may develop, to meditate on the non-existence of his body except as thought. So one benefit to him will be that both physical and emotional pain will affect him much less. So what Swamiji is saying, so on the one hand, he is explaining the sutra, that if you meditate on cotton, you will gain the property of that, means you are as light. जैसे कि जब पेड़ पे cotton उगरा होता है, वो flower की तरह, जब वो detach होता है तो वो उड़ के कहीं भी जा सकता है. It is so light. If you meditate on that quality of cotton, then you will develop the power to fly through air and even travel astrally. That is one thing. The other thing that Swamiji here is saying is that every devotee, he may develop to some degree some power, may not develop some power, but even if he has if he has love for God, he needs no powers. That is the power he actually needs. That's all we need actually. But if he develops powers, it's okay, but it is important for us to remember that eventually in our meditation we will have to rise above body consciousness. We will have to come to the realization that we are not the body. And once we are able to know that, even to some degree, then the immediate benefit is that your physical and emotional pain will reduce, because you will know that body is only a part of you, that you are infinite. And all meditators to some degree start to experience it after the technique of Kriya Yoga. It may take years also, but if you're sincere, if you keep at it, it does come. So of course, Master said the first sign that you receive in meditation is that you feel very, very peaceful. That peace starts to come over you like a rain falling upon you. So, and that peace starts to get deepen, deepen, deepen. You start to feel joy, you start to feel peace, you start to get soul guidance. And eventually a point comes where you, as a meditator, do not only say that, oh, I feel peaceful, but you can say that I am peace. This is who I really am. And when you say I am peace, that means you are not the limiting body. You are the infinite peace. The body is only a part of it. So you realize your own infiniteness, and you realize that the concerns of the body are very little, and automatically the pain reduces. So that is why worldly methods जो हैं pain relief के उतने अच्छे नहीं हैं. लेकिन अगर आप बॉडी से डिटैच करना ही सीख जाओ अपने माइंड को, तो फिर आप अपनी पेन ऑटोमेटिकली ही रिड्यूस कर सकते हो. सो दिस इज अ वेरी प्रैक्टिकल थिंग. So we are anyway fed up with the suffering of this world, so why not take our mind, why not go uplift ourselves to the infinite consciousness? And that's what Lahiri Mahashaya said. Lahiri Mahashaya said, if escapism is the need of man, then why not escape into spirit by using the technique of Kriya Yoga? So very interesting. So the first statement, he says, if escapism be the need of man. So every man, means man or woman, every human gets fed up at some point with this limited bodily existence, because there is disease, there is decay, there is death, there is your death of your body, death of loved ones, and so on. And all of this, then certain people besides these have material concerns and attachment. So there is pain in some way or the other. And man wants to escape this cycle of mechanical, autonomic, existence, machine-like existence. Man needs that final wisdom. So escapism is a need of man. It is known. And now if one has to escape, then escape into spirit. 2-3 दिन की holiday vacation से कुछ नहीं होगा. Learn to at will feel the spirit, to be. That is why spiritual path kya hai? Anything that makes you go towards the spirit, that means your infinite self, that is spirituality. So escape into spirit by using the technique of Kriya Yoga and know that the body is just an idea. That's what Master said. Master said, I close my eyes and my body exists only as an idea. Sutra number 44. Bahi akalpita vrittihi mahavideha tatah prakash anarana ayaha. Meaning, by making samyam on the real modifications of the mind, which are outside, called the great disembodiedness, comes disappearance of the covering to light. Okay, so इसको थोड़ा सा समझने के लिए हम इसको simplify करते हैं. So let's go to Swami Vivekananda's explanation first. He says the mind in its foolishness thinks that it is working in this body. And this is a big statement in itself. In fact, most people think कि जो brain है उनका वही उनका thinking faculty है and that's it. Now brain तो सिर्फ यहाँ तक है ना, इस कल से limited है. लेकिन हम अगर आंख बंद करें और हम चाहें कि हम इस पल में अपने पास्ट में चले जाएं या इस पल में हम बैठे बैठे मैं मून पे चली जाऊं, मैं इसी समय इमेजिन कर सकती हूँ कि मैं एक बीच साइड पे बैठी हूँ और उस बीच साइड पे बैठी इन माय माइंड आई कैन इवन विजुअलाइज दैट आई कैन फील द एयर, आई कैन फील द वाटर इन माय फीट, आई कैन फील द सैंड, आई कैन फील द वार्मथ ऑफ द सैंड. If I want, my mind can travel anywhere which is beyond the confines of this skull. So brain is an instrument, but the mind is a cosmic mind actually, and we are using a fraction of it. Our brain is accessing a fraction of it. Now brain is an amazing instrument, but the mind, as far as the yogic path is concerned, is much beyond that. And it is not limited to the body. You at your will, you can think of anything. You can be at the end of infinity. You can be beyond the solar system, beyond the Milky Way, right now, right here. So your body is here, your brain is here, but your thinking faculty is infinite. Why should I be bound by one system of nerves and put the ego only in one body if the mind is omnipresent? There is no reason why I should. So the yogi wants to feel himself wherever he likes and in fact everywhere. When he has succeeded in that, the covering to the light goes away and all darkness and ignorance vanishes. Everything appears to him to be full of knowledge. So basically he can access the intelligence in every atom of creation, and he can feel that I-ness, the Atmic self everywhere. Swami Kriyananda ji says, by samyam on the vrittis that are external to the body, bodilessness is attained and the veil over the light of the self is removed. Okay. In seeing the subtle relation between that which is beyond the body and the body itself, one loses consciousness of the body. Sutra number 45. स्थूल स्वरूप सूक्ष्म अन्वय अर्थवत samyanad bhut jaya. Meaning, by making samyam on the elements, beginning with the gross and ending with the superfine, comes the mastery of the elements. The yogi makes samyam on the elements, first on the gross and then on the finer states, step by step. This samyam is taken up. So here is explained a little bit about Buddhism, how a Buddhist sect actually focuses on this technique. They take up a lump of clay and make samyam on that, and gradually they begin to see the fine materials of which it is composed. And when they have known all the fine materials in it, they get power over that element. So basically, suppose you are concentrating upon fire. So when you concentrate upon fire, of course, you try to visualize the fire. You can feel the heat of fire. You can even hear the crackling sound that the fire makes. You are so absorbed in the fire that you can have the power of fire. Now, this is something similar to the story that Master talked about, that there was a disciple who went to the Guru, and the Guru wanted to teach him the art of concentration. So he asked him, what do you do? And the boy said that I wash my bull and I love the bull very much. And so that's my favorite thing to do. So the Guru tells him, okay, concentrate upon that. So the boy is closed inside a room, and the boy is asked to meditate on the bull. So the boy starts to think of the bull, to visualize the bull behind his closed eyes. After 1 week, the Guru goes to his room and knocks and asks him, okay, so what are you doing now? So the voice inside says, I am washing my bull. Now, after 1 week, again the Guru comes, what are you doing now? So he says, I am grazing the bull. So I am grazing. So that's what he says, not grazing the bull, I am grazing. The next, after another week, the Guru goes to him and says, okay, what are you doing? Come out. He says, how can I come out? I have these big horns and this big body, I cannot come out of the door. So meaning, what is this story indicating? That whatever you concentrate upon, you will get the qualities of that. आप वो धारण कर लेंगे. धारणा जो कहते हैं ना, आपने इतना सिंगल पॉइंटेड कंसंट्रेशन किया है किसी एक वस्तु पर या किसी एक एलिमेंट पे या किसी भी एब्स्ट्रैक्ट चीज पे, कि उसकी क्वालिटी को आप अपने अंदर धारण कर लेंगे. तो ये इस हमारे लिए डायरेक्ट साइन है टू से, इफ वी कॉन्सेंट्रेट ऑन पीस, we will become peace. If we concentrate on love, we will become love. We are already love and peace, but there is a veil covering it. So if we by single pointed concentration, जो सभी ऊपर के आवरण हैं या वेल्स हैं वो सब हट जाते हैं, और हम उस चीज पे जिस पे भी हम फोकस कर रहे हैं हम उसको इम्बाइब कर लेते हैं. जिस तरह से चैतन्य महाप्रभु की स्टोरी हमने पढ़ी कि वो इतना ज्यादा राधा कृष्ण पे फोकस थे कि उनमें लोगों को राधा कृष्ण नजर आने लगते थे. So it all depends on what you are focusing on. Now this is very important in our day-to-day life to remind us कि अगर हम डेली न्यूज और इमोशनल उस पे फोकस करें तो हम वही बन रहे हैं, हमारे अंदर वही चीजें इकट्ठी हो रही हैं. और हम गॉड पे फोकस करें तो हम गॉड लाइक हो रहे हैं. आप जिस चीज पे भी सिंगल माइंडेडली फोकस करोगे आप उसकी क्वालिटीज बिना जाने ही धारण करने लग जाओगे. सो बी वेरी केयरफुल व्हाट यू आर फोकसिंग ऑन. Are you focusing on health or are you focusing on disease? Are you focusing on joy or are you focusing on sadness and melancholy? Are you focusing on fear, worry, anxiety, or are you focusing on trust in God? Because that is what you're going to imbibe, whether you like it or not, that is what you're going to magnetize to yourself. Be very careful. Don't spend your time just casually thinking about this and that thoughts. Every minute of your day, every moment, the yogi's life is very priceless, very precious. Every moment he must concentrate, bring it to something, and that something is God or God related. And then he starts to become godlike and godly. Okay. So Swami Kriyananda ji also says the same thing, says by samyam on the gross and subtle elements of the body and on their essence and correlative purpose, one can master those elements. So it may not be our goal to become a master on fire or master on water or master on rock and earth, but it is definitely our goal to become master of our own self, master of our being, in control, at will. We must be able to live like the self, means the atmic self, know that we are joy. This is definitely a goal. To be godlike, to be guru-like is definitely our goal. And therefore, it is a clear indication on what we should focus on and concentrate in our life. So let us all do samyam. Samyam is what? Dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Means what does this involve? It involves single pointed concentration on one thing, which could be internal or external to you. And when you are doing that concentration, then you do not allow any other thought to come in between. Then you are just not worried about any other duties that you have. In that moment, you just want that. So even if, deep in one moment, you have yearned for God, and from your heart, mind, body, and soul, you have called upon God, you will definitely receive an answer. And if you do that all the time, that's why in one of the commentaries from Master, I have read that in Kali Yuga, now we are in Dwapar Yuga, but in Kali Yuga, Master said, if somebody was to pray continuously, unceasingly for 3 nights and days, God would have had to appear in front of that person. So, but 24 hours means every moment you have to be deep in the presence of God. So it's not like mechanically कर लिया 23 घंटे और 1 घंटे ऐसे ही थोड़ा सा deep गए. No. If for 3 days and 3 nights continuously a devotee has all his heart, mind, soul and strength on God, then God is ever present. But in whatever roop the devotee wants to have darshan, God comes in that roop and gives him darshan. So all of this is a possibility. Know that the Guru will help you to achieve this state. So attune yourself, open your heart and mind to the Guru's grace, which is ever present. By listening to his teachings, for living his teachings, you will come in tune with the Guru, and the Guru will know what powers you need. We do not need these lightning flash powers and all of that, but we need the power to be able to love God, the power to surrender to God, the power to be of service to God, the power to be the son of God. So with that thought, dear friends, let us just share this thought, this feeling, these blessings with the world at large. Let's pray together. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Oh. 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 Divine Mother, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.